Hi, good afternoon, and welcome to this week's vlog. Taking a little bit of time to put this one together, but I wanted to kind of ask the question, are ChatGPT and Copilot going to lead us to the Cyberdyne systems that we see in the Terminator movies? It's kind of a very big extrapolation to take the tools that we're starting to use in work and actually inferring that they're actually going to wind up destroying the planet as we see in the Terminator films. But we're taking it a bit tongue in cheek. We're going to work through kind of a number of different kind of views on things. First section, we'll look at understanding ChatGPT and Copilot and the impact that those are having on the workplace. The second is how that is changing and how those things will evolve into the workplace. And then the third, looking at that Cyberdyne comparison. So in the first instance, let's kind of spend a bit of time um, looking at the capabilities of things. I've kind of there was a really interesting WebEx run by some friends of mine at CWSI where they talked about the functions and what Copilot can actually do. And I was kind of sitting there going, actually, has a huge impact on the way people behave and what people do. And the example kind of that was presented was, right, okay, let's, if you turn on in a Teams meeting, the audio scripting, which will effectively turn everything that's said in that meeting into text. That on its own gives people a lot of tools to be able to look back over the chat. But then with Copilot, what you can actually ask it is questions like, right, okay, um, can you tell me what the action points and the owners decided during that meeting are? And it will pull all those out and present those to you, make meeting notes much easier, make actioning or allocating tasks from the meeting much easier at the end. So you can see immediately how those will impact people in the workplace. Um, but then you can say, right, okay, and if you've had some playing around, if you've done some really kind of bonkers things like I've done with things like ChatGPT, what you can do is say, ask it to create pictures for you, ask it to write you a business plan, ask you to write some poetry, and obviously that's something I'm really not very good at. So that on its own is kind of the start to see the evolution of those things. But okay then, so how do you take that and apply things like that in the workplace? And obviously, we've talked about Copilot there, but what are some of the other examples of things that you could see in the workplace? Um, First one I kind of thought about was IBM's Watson and what it's doing through analysis of data. It's allow from patients. It's allowing people to predict much more quickly what treatment patterns and what people should be doing to treat things like cancer. So really kind of heavy impact. The second, and we see this one almost every day when we're using satellite navigation software, is that the traffic routings based on traffic inputs and all the other things, allowing intelligent feeds to be created that will allow it to re-recommend how people are traveling and the routes that you're taking. And the one that also we come up against, although most of us don't want to, is when we're using chatbots with customer service interaction. We're often presented with an option now when we start engaging with customer service to integrate with a chatbot who um, in the first instances of these, they sounded very robotic, but now actually they're beginning to sound much more human. And that is AI impacting and feeding into those by inferring from conversations that or referring from the conversation that you're putting in, it's giving you a lot better feed out. So based on these, you can see how the benefits come about from these AI tools: efficiency, cost effectiveness, innovation. But a former colleague of mine, Anne Morse, was talking about in a recent survey, he found that 50% of the tech industry now feel that AI is overrated as a technology. And I kind of always think when you hear things like this, it's all very well seeing those benefits, but you hear also when you hear about things like this, often a lot of people striking, saying that they feel these technologies are overrated and they won't have the impact that people think they will. Um, I often think with things like these, a lot of fear comes into play. Things like, is AI going to reduce the need for my support team? Will AI reduce the need for a service centre serving out to those wides then through chatbots? Will AI remove the need for script writers and songwriters as we use it to do things like that? And I think we are only in the very, very early stages of what's going on here. And this is where you kind of can say, right, if we're at these early stages, how does that Cyberdyne comparison come? And how, if we look forwards, do we end up seeing these AI tools running away with things and actually having a huge impact? Um, it would be very difficult to avoid seeing these comparisons in a tech world, but exactly what is the story here? Is if you actually look at the Terminator film, Skynet or Titan was actually a highly advanced computer that possessed artificial intelligence that then became self aware and it saw humanity as a threat to its existence due to attempts of Cyberdyne to shut it down once it had realized what it had done. Hence, Skynet decided to trigger Judgment Day and effectively tried to kill the human race. And that impact, effectively, you saw a huge kind of impact on what was going on. Effectively, though, what you see here is Skynet was built for defense purposes. It did exactly what it was meant to do. And the most important thing was in this is there were no ethical limitations placed on the system to stop it from taking decisions like that. Yulin Wan, a technology analyst, comments that the irony in this is that the Terminator films are actually probably having an impact on the regulations that are going to be put around AI. And I think this is really important because those regulations are the ones that will dictate what happens. So, if AI is to become Skynet, it will because we get this phase wrong. And effectively, we now need to make sure that the decisions that we make are correct. But that won't change the fact that AI will impact us. So the key to ensure that we're doing the right things with AI are to do the following. We need to balance AI and human skills. We need to accept that it's all very well doing things like having your tasks from meetings created by AI, but also accepting that there is a very human interaction that needs to go on. I find that writing notes is really important for me. So making sure that and it actually forces those things to go into my brain. So making sure that you understand that it's very well having tasks created, but getting your brain working and getting it working often happens because humans do things. So there's got to be a very careful balance, and we need to create that as we're going through. We must let it help us is the second thing. So it's very well saying we don't want to let it impact the way humans behave, but we must also be prepared to let it help us, let it work with us, and let it come up with the things. I suffer really badly from what I call blank paper syndrome, where you stick a Word document in front of me and I'm supposed to write a report. I very often don't struggle to start. Using something like OpenAI to create a structure of a report and a base idea for you is really powerful, because you will then be able to kind of create something from that, and it regularly removes the blank paper from in front of me. So using that as a tool. And then the last and probably most important one is we must make sure that security is at the heart of everything that we're doing here. And it's important that we ensure that all of the AI tools that we use in business don't have are using only those businesses' information. And an example that came to light is It's all very well having documents protected in a folder somewhere and in the correct format, but if those documents are available to an agent and it's not restricted from taking that information and broadcasting it, you could quite easily go in and ask for someone's salary to be um, reported back to you from an organization, from inside HR's files. And actually, you could find out the salary of some of the higher paid people or people who are doing equivalent jobs to you. So you need to make sure absolutely that the right security mechanisms, and work with the partners that you've got who are helping you implement the AI to make sure that the right security pieces are put in place. So as a bit of a summary on this, I do firmly believe that AI is going to kind of evolve and become very prominent in the work. And I think as long as we make the right decisions now around the security that's put in place within our organizations and making sure that's right, but also making sure that the right ethical considerations are made for Skynet, for things like AI, um, we won't actually end up in that position of nuclear armageddon and something like Skynet coming about. So I actually believe that we are in the right point in time to be making the right decisions to stop those things, however small they might be, from occurring. If you've kind of got some thoughts on this, post them in the comments below. Subscribe to the channel if you like what you see here, and kind of give us lots of feedback, because I'm really interested to hear what people think about the whole kind of, is this likely to become, is the AI situation today likely to become the Skynet of tomorrow? So please subscribe, post the questions. I'll post all the links of the research that was done to post this in the commentary. And it's really good to have spoken to you today about a subject that I feel is actually becoming much more prominent in what we're doing. Thank you very much. It's been really good to talk to you today.